10 words that stunned the stadium. Gauff reacts to shocking insults directed at her mother. The stadium was alive with thunder. Thousands of fans cheered as Coco Gauff, the young American tennis prodigy, prepared to serve for the match. The bright lights glistened against her sweat-soaked skin, and the tension in the air was electric. It was another defining night, a semi-final clash that could take her one step closer to another title. And then it happened. From the upper rows of the stands, 10 cruel words cut through the excitement like a blade. Your mom raised a loudmouth who'll never be like Serena. The crowd gasped. The words hung in the air, heavy, venomous, and echoing. For a split second, Coco froze. The noise of the crowd seemed to fade, replaced by a sharp, suffocating silence. Her mother, Candy Gauff, sitting in the player's box, stiffened but didn't move. She'd taught her daughter about grace under fire, but no one had prepared for this. Coco's eyes met her mother's for the briefest moment, and in that silent exchange, history took a turn. The calm before the storm. The match had been intense. 2 hours of rally after rally, each point harder than the last. The crowd had been electric, alternating between applause and anxious murmurs. Coco was leading, just a few points away from victory. At 15, she'd already become one of the sport's brightest stars. But at 21, she was something greater, a symbol of resilience, confidence, and compassion. Tonight was supposed to be about tennis, about victory, about focus. But life has a way of testing even the strongest. The moment of impact. The words were ugly, meant to sting, meant to distract. The heckler was a man in his 40s, his face red from shouting, his voice laced with bitterness. Security moved swiftly toward him, but the damage was done. Coco dropped her racket. The crowd fell into an uneasy hush. For a heartbeat, no one knew what she would do. Then, slowly, Coco walked to the baseline, her expression unreadable. Her mother's eyes followed her every step. Calm, patient, waiting to see what her daughter would choose. She could have walked away. She could have cried. But Coco Gauff had never been built to crumble. The words that changed everything. Coco lifted her microphone after the match. Her voice trembled at first, not with fear, but with purpose. She looked directly at the crowd, her gaze unwavering. The cameras zoomed in. Every news outlet, every fan, every critic, all waiting. Then, she said the 10 words that would echo across the sports world. You can insult me, but never disrespect my mother again. The stadium erupted, not in chaos, but in applause. A standing ovation roared through the night. Even her opponent nodded in solidarity. In that instant, the match became secondary. This was no longer about a tennis score. It was about dignity. Those 10 words weren't rehearsed. They were raw, real, and powerful. The kind that come from the heart of a warrior defending her roots. Behind the calm, the power of her mother. To understand Coco's reaction, you had to know Candy Gauff, the woman behind the champion. Candy was never just a spectator in the stands. She had been the foundation, the voice of calm in chaos, the soft word after defeat, and the steady faith through every challenge. When Coco was 8, Candy had told her, "The world may not always understand you, baby, but you must never lose your kindness." When Coco faced racial remarks as a junior player, Candy was the one who taught her how to respond, not with anger, but with excellence. So when those insults rang out in the stadium, Coco didn't react out of rage. She reacted out of respect, the kind that comes from love, pride, and a daughter's unshakable devotion. After the match, a daughter's hug. After her post-match speech, Coco walked straight to her mother's box. Cameras followed her every move, but the world seemed to vanish around her. She climbed the steps and wrapped her mother in a hug, so tight it spoke louder than any interview could. Candy whispered something in her ear, inaudible to the microphones, but visible in their tears. Later, Coco revealed what her mom said. "You did the right thing, baby. You spoke truth with grace." That moment, mother and daughter, hand in hand, became an image shared across the globe. Sports pages printed it. Social media turned it into a symbol. It wasn't about controversy anymore. It was about love, the backlash and the beauty. Of course, the headlines came. Coco Gauff confronts heckler. Tennis world stunned by players' emotional response. Mother-daughter moment steals the show in Beijing. The sports world was divided, as it often is. Some said she should have ignored it, that she should have let officials handle it. Others praised her courage, her dignity, her humanity. But amidst all the noise, Coco remained composed. In a press conference the next day, she smiled softly and said, "My mom taught me to stand tall, but also to stay kind. I can handle anything said about me, but when it's about the person who gave me strength, I have to speak." The room fell silent. No one dared argue with that. The echo around the world. It wasn't long before Coco's words spread far beyond the tennis community. Celebrities, athletes, and activists shared her clip online. Serena Williams tweeted, "Proud of this young woman. She's carrying herself like a queen." Michelle Obama reposted the video, writing, "Grace and power, this is leadership." For young girls everywhere, Coco became a new kind of hero, one who didn't just win trophies, but stood up for what was right. Schools discussed her speech in classrooms. Teachers called a lesson in emotional intelligence. Sports psychologists called a masterclass in composure. Epilogue, what the stadium remembered. Months after that unforgettable night, when fans returned to that same stadium, there was a new banner hanging from the rafters. It read, "Grace, Strength, Gauff." The heckler had long been banned, forgotten by time. But Coco's words, they lived on. When she returned to play there the following season, the crowd greeted her with thunderous applause, not just for her victories, but for her values. As she walked onto the court, she glanced up toward the stands where it all happened. For a second, she smiled, not with bitterness, but with forgiveness. And as the umpire called, "Play," Coco whispered under her breath, "For you, Mom." Closing reflection, the 10 words heard around the world. In the years to come, that single night would be remembered not for the insult, but for the response. Because in a world that often rewards outrage, Coco Gauff chose poise. In a moment designed to humiliate, she showed humanity. Her 10 words didn't just offend her mother. They defined her legacy. They became a lesson for athletes, parents, and fans alike. That respect, once lost, can still be restored. That class is inherited. It's built moment by moment. And that true champions don't just win matches. They win hearts. So when the stadium went silent that night, it wasn't because of shame. It was because everyone, everywhere, had just witnessed something rare. The sound of grace, standing tall under fire. And in that silence, Coco Gauff's voice echoed, not just through the court, but through time. "You can insult me, but never disrespect my mother again." Those 10 words, steady, powerful, unforgettable, changed everything. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.